Today I'm looking into Wendy's website. She's an Urbandale, Iowa family, newborn, child, seniors photographer. One thing that I notice is that you have the website name here, or a logo sort of, but then there's a whole different logo down here. So I would make sure I would have this, even if you don't want this up at the top, if you don't want to, but I would still make the top logo this instead of this. I like your navigation menu. It's really simple. The only thing is that you tell people on your homepage that you're gonna guide them through. So the start here feels like, okay, I'm just gonna start here, and then I end up back on the home page. So I would just change this to home, because oftentimes the home page is where they will come to anyway. One of my really general thoughts is I love the look of the website and how you've built it. You're kind of guiding people through where to go next from each page. I love that. But I think something that I notice with a lot of the pages is that there's the text seems a little clunky, and I can tell it's because you've wanted to boost your SEO. So I'm just gonna mention those things as we go on each page. So we have your home page, and I like that you have a picture of a family here. I'm thinking this picture of you might not need to be this big, since it's a bio picture and not a portfolio picture, but I like that you introduce yourself on the page. So I find that this is a little unnecessary, whether you found me on Google search, Facebook. There's a lot of copy in here that people might not just have time to read. So I just start with, I'm so glad you stopped by. It doesn't matter where they came from. And I like that you talk about, you probably have some questions. You can find all the details here. I might not say here, or just because it sounds like they find all the details on this page, I might rephrase that somehow. So there's a couple things that I would change in here. You mention in both paragraphs that you photograph kids, newborn, seniors, family. This one sounds a little bit more conversational, natural versus this one. So I'd kind of either combine them somehow or just take one out. And as you talk about being a full service natural light photographer, you might want to explain instead of full service, because families might not really know what that means. You can explain that you do that prints and books or products, they're a natural part of your session packages, or like that's something that they can expect to get from you. I also feel like saying, as an Urbandale family photographer, you can probably guess blah blah blah. It's a little bit clunky to me. You could say something like, I love photographing families, blah 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 blah. You don't need this. You already have the Urbandale up here in a more natural way, because you talk about where you're located. It's I find that it's really clunky to say that as an Urbandale family photographer you love photographing families. Doesn't mean that if someone is a photographer somewhere else, like as a Californian family photographer, I don't love photographing families. I hope that you know what I mean. One thing I wanted to say about your homepage is that you talk about how photo sessions can be stressful, but they don't have to be. My goal is to make your experience stress-free and fun. I feel like you don't need to bring up stress so many times. You can just scratch this out and have, my goal is to make your experience one that's stress-free and fun, or relaxing and fun, so that you kind of don't repeat things as you go. Otherwise I really like this. It feels very personal. You're kind of mixing very informational things with more emotional things. So I would kind of look at how to structure it. You could even have this at the top before you start talking about the logistics or who you photograph. And then, because you already talk about how you're going to guide people through, I don't think you need to talk about what a session is like. Just say, you'll find my galleries below so you can see if you connect with my work, something like that. And then they'll go through. I'm just going to hop on over to families. I would just say I've had the privilege of working with some incredible families over the past few years in the central Iowa area, and I'm now blessed to call them friends, something like that, so that it's not so clunky. I love that you have testimonials or these little quotes, and they are all they all kind of talk to what the experience is like. I love that they're not just Wendy was amazing. Like, this is the quotes or the testimonials that you have sprinkled throughout, they really like make it sound like, or they talk to how it is to work with you. That's really good. I'm wondering if all this copy is unnecessary to have before the gallery. Maybe I would start with the quote and then have the gallery and then have some copy. I like that you talk about how you assist every step of the way. Maybe you could have like step 1, step 2, so that people are kind of, it's easier to follow along where they are in the process. Or it could be before your session, during your session, after your session, something like that. I love that you've included pictures, and I'm really happy that you're including pictures of what the final products may look like as well. The word investment, it feels like it's thrown around a lot in the photography industry, and I think for the most part people are more comfortable with the word pricing. Investment is really, I know it's a way to make it sound more valuable, but for clients it might sound strange, or it might sound like it's super expensive, because investments usually are. So on your investment page, I like that you say now it's time to talk about the numbers. Maybe you could even start here, something like here's where we talk about numbers. If you haven't had the opportunity to browse my portfolio yet, I'd suggest you do that first, something like that, and link to your portfolio there. I like that you explain what the creative fee includes, and that you say please note that nothing else is included in the creative fee. I'd still probably add portraits and then have $150 creative fee to make it very clear that this is the creative fee. And I'd maybe even put this at the top so that people don't think portraits means just headshots or something like that. I'd either include it up here or in the as the first point in the list. I like that you have a client guide. I'd say request your free download. It sounds like they'll have to sort of apply for it and then you'll send it. I'd rewrite this in like some kind of way, like just download the client guide by clicking below, so that it doesn't sound like this is a process. I hope you know what I mean. It'll sound simpler, and it could say like download the client guide or something like that. Your contact page, I like that it's simple and clear. I would have something more personal in here, like maybe instead of subject, just do how can I help you, or something like that, to make it a little bit more personal, so that it seems like there's a person back there. And people have already come to your contact page. I don't know, the get in touch, I just put send or submit, something like that on there. So some people get kind of nervous about sending a form thing, like they see a form and they just bounce for whatever reason. So I would also add your email on here, or do like a mail to link just so that if someone doesn't really want to fill out stuff, they can just send a quick email. Once I did that for my website, my inquiries doubled, which is pretty crazy. On your contact page, I would also add something in here about when they can expect to hear back from you, like maybe your office hours are Monday through Friday, something like that. On your About Me page, I love that you've included pictures of you and your family. It bugs me a little bit when some of the picture copies or the descriptions or captions are in the middle and some are on the side, so I would just make it consistent and consistent in size. I wonder this my why. We as business owners hear about this a lot, that we're supposed to talk about my why, but clients don't usually, or clients might not get what this means. So I would have this, why do I do what I do up here? Then it makes more sense. And I really, really think that a lot of this stuff, a little bit fleshed out, would make a great blog post. Like your first why, which is you having babies and kids that you wanted to document. And then this could be another blog post, No One Is Promised Tomorrow, where you talk about your mom. I love that you've added a lot of pictures to your About Me page. And I think if you condense this stuff a little bit, make it a little bit more about why this should matter to the families. Like, I love that you talk about this part. You're so sleep deprived as a new parent, so you can talk about I was so sleep deprived as a new parent that if I hadn't documented what my babies were like, I would have forgotten all about it. And that's what I want your family to have as well, sort of thing. And then the same with the story about your mom. I love that you tie that into how that matters to your clients as well. But I think there's 2 really good blog posts in there that you could flesh out, and then these you could condense a little and add a little bit more about how this serves your clients. I have a quick word about your blog. Just because of how the blog preview kind of crops the image, I would be careful with some of the images that you pick as your featured image, or I would change the way that this thumbnail or featured picture is shown. I just make sure that there's no heads being chopped. Wendy, that's all that I have for you. I hope that this was helpful, and let me know what you think.